Greetings and salutations. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to the end of the world. Okay, we're still here. It seems like the world is still here too. So, well, we've still got some hours till this day is done. So I guess we will see whether or not the world ends today. But what do you folks think? Do y'all think the world is going to end today? Do you think today is the very last day of this planet's existence in the multiverse? Its many layers of consciousness, its many layers of inhabited, directed reality? Do y'all think that's going to happen today? For some reason, I doubt that that will be the case. In fact, I think that this world will continue on as it has continued on for quite some time, at least according to official estimates, at least 4 billion years that this planet has been here. You know? Alive, as it were, in the sense of a galactic life of about 12 to 13 billion years, or so some estimates I have read state. So, let's deal with that. Let's talk about that. There are many, many prophecies that speak to these times as being end times. And so today's claim of being the last day probably has something to do with some numbers that someone came up with. I think this particular prophecy was made from some sort of numerology prediction regarding the end of the world. Now, whether or not it was serious, whether or not the author has walked the claim back and stated that no, the world's not going to end today, we're just going to see some kind of shift. If he did that, that is actually a much more accurate way to account for days such as today. I know I personally am experiencing a very, very high energy day. And that has been the case pretty much consistently ever since that last major geomagnetic storm that we experienced late last week. I put out a couple of energy updates in regards to it and spoke about it in my last video. And since then, the resonance level has seemed to kind of stabilize quite forcefully in my life, and I'm sure many of your lives as well. But at the same time, doing what I do, I'm able to see people in the mix, right? I deal with hundreds of people every single day in my job. And so I'm able to walk around and observe people in what I would call their natural civilized environment, right? And so I see that there are still a lot of people who are taking these energies and they are running away with them in places that perhaps they should not, but they choose to do so, and we all make our choices. So right now, again, it is once more about that, the same story. And I'm afraid I'm going to sound like a broken record when I say this, but it's true. You know, we're all responsible for our own actions, our own responses to the world and to life and to the events which overtake us, that cause us to shift in our course or to step back or to entertain emotional responses to what occurs to us. There's always that space of an instant, sometimes even more, when we can make a choice about how we respond to those stressors. And how we do so is a function of how well we know ourselves, right? The better you know yourself, the better you're able to take control of the personality complex. The more able you are to allow the observer faculty, which lives behind the emotions and the personality, to shine through. And by allowing that observer quality or focus to become paramount, you actually become a conduit of the light. You're able to channel the light through you. You're able to exist more presently in the moment, in the now. And you're able to see the world and see the messages that come to us in almost all instances of existence. They're always there. They're always around. If only we are aware enough to see them, to notice them, to be able to understand in our limited three-dimensional cognitive state what the messages are trying to tell us. So today probably won't be the end of the world. There will probably be a tomorrow, and a day after that, and a month after that, and a year after that, right? And so we must continue on. We must continue on doing what we do. What we can do in this instance is take this as another portal, as another sign of a shift in our perception and interaction with this material world. Often, when people make these prophecies, they're based upon solar or extraplanetary alignments and astrology and numerology and things of this sort. Some function of the mathematics, the language of creation, and how there is some sort of alignment, right? So that could possibly be the case here. And we need to look at that alignment as something that is occurring, that is real, because the resonance between the planets and the energy flashpoints that their alignments create at many, many different geometric levels are meaningful, are important, are powerful in our lives and in the life of our collective body, oceanic humanity, as well as our host, Gaia Sophia, Terra, or Earth, right? She hosts us. She is just as amenable and susceptible to the demands of the celestial dance as we, parts of her body are. And that's how I see humans. I see humans as being a part of Gaia Sophia. We're made of her. We're made of her stuff, right? So if you look at the earth as one whole body, we serve a function. Every creature, every plant, every rock serves a function. Just like every part of our bodies serve a function. We have colonies of bacteria and ancient viruses within us, and perhaps we are some equivalent to that for Gaia Sophia, although those things are kind of external and have inhabited us, coming from without to become a part of us over time. So, maybe it's something like that, some sort of relationship of a similar character. But we're all going to continue on past today. And this portal, whether or not it feels important or powerful to you or not, is one that now exists in the collective consciousness because this has become a big deal. There are major news outlets that have picked up on this story, even if they are doing so in a tongue-in-cheek manner. It is spreading across the Western world, this knowledge that today was a certain type of portal. Now, often when the mainstream media picks up on news like this, they do so for a reason. Much of us, or many of us in the alternative community, know that the mainstream media and the proponents thereof, the ones who control it, often create events in order to shift energy that naturally would go in one direction, a positive direction, and they make something happen in different ways, school shootings or whatever, however you want to view it. They make these things happen to shift the energy of those time frames or those days so that the energy output of the collective is negative rather than positive. So the mainstream media putting out this story about today being the end of the world is kind of creating this sense of derision, of hilarity, of dismissal, so that people do not see today as being an important day. Well, perhaps it is. Perhaps this is truly a portal and we need to go within and look for information telling us what's going on, what's happening. I know for me, I feel very, very grounded in this new earth. I feel ownership in this new world that we are co-creating together. I feel like I am invested in my life and I am interacting with people in order to get them invested in their lives, in our collective lives at the same time. So I'm taking this time as an opportunity to manifest the new earth in everything that I do. And I know others that I interact with are doing so as well, making their dreams come true. And today, much like any other of the recent days in the past month and a half to 2 months, I am feeling myself. You know what I mean? I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling like, yes, it is time. It is time to manifest. It is time to be all I can be and for me to help others be all they can be as well. And many of you out there are feeling this as well. So if you are feeling extraordinarily grounded today, If you are feeling very strong, if you are feeling very confident, you need to take that energy and interact with other people and share that energy. If they're having a slightly bad day or a really bad day, or if they're not feeling confident in themselves and their path in life, you just bring up their good points, help them to see who they are and what they offer to the world, what they bring into this life, that only they, as unique shards of consciousness, of the collective consciousness, what they each bring to the world, that it's only theirs, their gift, the thing that they've brought to share, because we're nothing without others, right? We're a community. Even when we are not interacting directly, we are still part of a human family, interconnected at the quantum level. Our thoughts affect every other person's thoughts out there at some level, whether or not we realize it. So this is that kind of day. It's a very contemplative day, and it is a very high energy day. And I know I say that quite often, but I feel it. And I wonder, do y'all feel it too? I know from the responses that I get and the people that I know in person who are accompanying me on this journey, they'll tell me when stuff is going on, and stuff does go on. Between now and the last video that I made with y'all, stuff went on, right? Friday was kind of a hard day. There was some stuff that came up for me that I just had to express, had to get through myself. There were some rackets, some games that I play that came to the surface that I had to deal with. It's not possible for me to allow my neuroses and rackets to rule my life anymore, because if you can see something clearly, anytime it occurs in your life, you're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to either repress it or you're going to have to bring it to the surface. And these days, I am bringing all that stuff to the surface to be dealt with and moved past, right? Because there's no time, There's no time to be messing around in old patterns of behavior and thoughts that no longer serve us in this new earth. Anything that holds us back from accomplishing and realizing our dreams, all those things are things that have to be overcome, that have to be left behind. We have to become a new person every single day, a new person to ourselves as well as the people around us. That's what's required now. And that's how it has to be to change the world. Because to change the world, we have to change ourselves first. We have to change who we are, what we are. We have to become something new, yet integrally expressing who we always have been within, in our core, who we came to this planet as. When you are integral with yourself, it exudes from you. I mentioned this in my last video. It's a part of your aura. How you are, how you think of yourself, how you express yourself becomes something that other people can pick up on, especially if you are working in the higher levels of consciousness resonation. Because once you court integrity and you begin to live your life in an integral manner, you begin to express that. It becomes a part of your being, and you begin to exude it as a part of your energetic output into the world. And people who are sensitives can tell. They can feel that about you. And events that you encounter in the world as you interact with others will show that they see that they feel that, and they'll interact with you in a different way than they interact with other people. I have seen that in my life. Just as I'm walking around, going down the street, people will stop me, or strangers will tell me their life stories, or someone will say something and then mention God or something like that, just out of the blue, just randomly, and you can only nod and laugh and acknowledge those types of things and share that solidarity, maybe a fist bump, you know what I'm saying, and then keep it moving, keep on moving higher and higher, because that is the goal for all of us in these days, the goal for me and the goal for you. So maybe the world is ending today. Maybe the world already ended and we're in another timeline, and the mandala effect has once again served us notice that the world has shifted out, and we have to deal with the repercussions of that, the fallout of that, in whatever way that we can't see right now, but that will become apparent to us as time goes on.